Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we aren't talking about a specific book or, big news story. We're looking at something that feels a little more atmospheric.
It does. It's this piece called Day 49, The Gospel of Work.
Right, and the title is so deceptive. Day 49 sounds like a diary entry or
It
something.
really does, but then you open it and it's like a collision of ideas
A collision's a great way to put it. You have Stephen Pressfield, the guy who wrote The War of Art.
crashing right into Peter Drucker, the grandfather of management theory.
And then Bruce Lee shows up, and Benjamin Franklin, and they're all pointing at the same kind of uncomfortable truth.
Exactly.
And that truth is, it's not the usual hustle culture stuff. It's not about grinding until you can buy a supercar. This feels like it's trying to dismantle that whole myth.
It's trying to replace it with something heavier. The Day 49 idea is key. It means you're not on day 1 where you're all excited.
And you're not on day 10,000 where you've, already made it.
You're on Day 49, it's a Tuesday, you're tired. And the whole point of this gospel is that this moment, the grind, that's where the real meaning is.
That's actually the part that hooked me right away. There's this one idea that says if you're broke, if you're struggling,
Yeah.
those are actually the best days of your life.
Which is, it's the absolute last thing you want to hear when you can't pay your rent.
Seriously. If someone said that to me back in the day, I might have thrown my instant noodles at them. But let's unpack it, because the source starts with this one statement that's just a punch to the jaw.
Talent is bullshit.
Yeah, no mincing words there.
Not at all. And this comes from Stephen Pressfield, but he's channeling his mentor, this guy named Marty.
And Marty wasn't just some made-up character, right? He was based on a real person.
A very real person. Barthold Flees. This guy was an agent to, the giants. We're talking Kurt Weill, Carl Jung, Ennius Nin.
So this is a man who spent his entire life around the most talented people of the 20th century. You'd think he would worship talent.
You'd think. But he told Pressfield the exact opposite. He said, I've seen a million writers with talent. It means nothing.
Okay, but I have to push back a little. Nothing. Come on. You can't just hard work your way into being Mozart. Talent has to matter.
I think the distinction he's making is about the floor versus the ceiling. Talent might set your potential, your ceiling.
High you could go.
Right. But discipline sets the floor. And Marty's point is that most people never even hit their floor because they're just relying on this idea of talent. They think it's the fuel, but it's just potential energy.
So it's useless without the work to actually ignite it.
Exactly. Marty says the only thing that matters is guts and stick-to-itiveness.
Stick-to-itiveness, that sounds like something my grandfather would say.
It's totally old school, but it removes the psychological safety net. If
Yeah.
you believe in talent, when you fail, you can just say, oh, I guess I'm not gifted enough.
It's an out.
It's an out. But if you believe in guts, then hitting a wall isn't a sign to stop. It's just part of the road.
That reframes the struggle. So let's go back to that best days of your life thing.
Yeah.
Why tell a struggling artist to appreciate being broke?
Because of purity. This is the key insight. When you make it, when you get the contract, the audience, you get noise, you have overhead, you have a brand.
You stop being a creator and you become a manager of your own success.
That's a perfect way to put it. But when you're broke, when it's day 49 and nobody cares, it's just you and the work. The text says you have nothing but the dream and the work. There's a clarity in that desperation that you lose forever once you get comfortable.
So the message is, stop trying to fast forward through the hard parts.
The struggle isn't the price you pay to get to the good stuff. The struggle is the good stuff. It's just disguised as work.
Okay, I am with you on the philosophy. Embrace the grind. But then the source pivots, and this is what I think saves it from just being, a motivational poster.
Right. It warns you immediately.
Hard work only matters if you are making the right moves.
That's the Drucker pivot. Because effort without direction is just busyness. It's just spinning your wheels.
You'll know those people. They work constantly, but they're not getting anywhere. And the source asks this really piercing question, and I want you listening to think about this. Are you inventing things to do to avoid the important work?
Oof. Yeah, that hits hard.
It's so much easier to clean my inbox than to write the actual proposal.
That's inventing work.
Yeah.
And this is where Peter Drucker comes in. He argues that people and companies become powerless when they lose performance capacity.
They lose the ability to get the right things done. So how do we fix it?
Drucker gives us 3 steps. They're simple, but they're absolutely brutal. Step 1 is abandonment.
Abandonment.
So
just quitting.
It's quitting the things that don't work, that never worked, or the things that have just outlived their purpose.
That sounds so logical, but it's incredibly hard to do. You get attached. The sunk cost fallacy,
Yeah.
I've already put so much time into this.
And Drucker would say, yes, you have, and you must stop. It's dead weight. You have to cut it loose.
Okay, so let's say we do that. We cut the dead weight. What's step 2?
Concentration. Focusing only on what actually produces results. The source uses that great example with FedEx and the U.S. Postal Service.
I love this part. FedEx and UPS basically built their empires on what the post office couldn't do well.
Exactly. The Postal Service tried to do everything for everyone. Letters, packages, rural, urban. Their focus was diluted. FedEx just said, we're going to do one thing, overnight delivery, period. Concentration creates value.
Okay, but then there's step 3. And this is the one that really got me. The analysis of the half successes.
This is the most dangerous category.
Why? Why not analyze the failures? Failures seem worse.
Because failures are obvious. If you launch a product and it gets 0 sales, the market has told you something very clearly. You stop.
It hurts, but you know what to do.
Right, but a half success is murky. It's the project that isn't bad enough to kill, but it's not really good enough to build on.
What's a real-world example of that?
Think about a client who pays you, but they pay just a little below your rate, and they take up like 40% of your time and mental energy.
Oh, man, yeah.
They're not bad, they pay. But servicing that half success is stopping you from finding the client who will pay you double for half the stress.
So the half success is a placeholder that blocks the real win.
It keeps you just satisfied enough to stay stuck. Drucker says you have to analyze those things, and if you can't turn them into full successes, you have to go back to step 1 and abandon them.
That is terrifying. But I get it.
Okay.
So we've got the grit from Pressfield, the strategy from Drucker, but then the text takes a turn into the mental game. It brings in Einstein.
Any fool can know. The point is to understand.
And in our world, with Google and AI, that distinction is everything. We can all know anything in seconds.
But we don't understand it. Knowledge is just information. Understanding is discernment. It's knowing what to do with it. And the source links that discernment directly to gratitude.
Which felt like a little bit of a left turn. How does abandon your failures connect to be grateful?
Because it redefines gratitude. It's not about what you get. It says it's about how you receive what is there.
So gratitude is a filter you see things through.
It's more active than that. It's like a metabolism. It's the tool that lets you take the difficulty of the struggle and convert it into fuel. Without gratitude, that same difficulty just turns into resentment.
And resentment just kills the work.
Instantly. And to keep that resentment away, the text tells us to cultivate a core meditative practice.
And I know when people hear meditation, some might tune out. But this isn't about incense. It's practical.
It's about not time traveling. Most of the time we're sitting at our desks, but our brain is replaying a failure from 3 years ago, or it's worrying about the IPO 5 years from now.
While the actual work that needs to be done today is just sitting there.
Right. You're ruining the only thing you actually have, which is day 49, the present moment.
And that line, stay positive because today could be the best day of your life. It all loops back. If you're not present, you miss the good old days while you're living them.
You can't leverage them. You can't do deep work if your mind is somewhere else.
Okay, so we've got the individual dialed in. You're gritty, you're strategic, you're present. But then the deep dive zooms out. It says, it's not us and them, it's we and us.
The shift to shared responsibility. This is so important because that hustle culture is often so lonely. It's all about me. This says real discipline is collective.
And they use that Simon Sinek quote to make the point.
The one about the star versus the leader.
A star wants to see himself rise to the top. A leader wants to see those around him become stars.
It sounds nice, but it's also deeply practical. You can't sustain high-level work in a vacuum. You need friction. You need accountability. The text talks about finding an A-plus competitor.
And asks that question. Who do you choose to compete with when tired?
That's the litmus test, isn't it? It's late, you're exhausted. Do you compare yourself to the person who went home hours ago, which makes you feel good?
It's an easy ego boost, yeah.
Or do you compare yourself to the person who's still there with you, pushing just as hard? You choose the competitor who exposes your weaknesses, not the one who flatters you.
There's that other quote for Lady Gregory. There's more learning than is taught in books.
Meaning you learn this stuff in the trenches. You learn character when the deadline is close, everyone's tired, and you and your team decide together not to cut corners. That we makes the me better.
And that leads right into the final section, which feels like the whole destination. We've gone through struggle, strategy, teamwork, and we end on silence.
The Bruce Lee philosophy.
Simplicity is the key to brilliance.
In our world, that is such a radical idea. We love complexity, we love hacks and apps and workflows. We think having a complex system means we're doing important work.
It's performative productivity. We want to look busy.
And Bruce Lee is saying, strip it all away, subtraction is power. But then the text pairs that simplicity with silence. Work hard in silence. Let your excellence be the noise.
That's the anti-Instagram approach to work.
It totally is. Think about how much energy is spent just broadcasting the work. Look at my setup. Here's me typing.
We all do it. I'm guilty of it. You want the validation before you're even done.
But that validation is a leak. It's energy that should be going into the work itself. Doing the work without announcing it is maybe the ultimate act of discipline. It goes back to that purity Pressfield was talking about.
If you don't post about it, did it even happen?
If you don't post about it, you are only doing it. You're not performing it. You're doing it for the standard, not for the applause.
And that's how you build a real legacy. Benjamin Franklin gets the last word here. If you would not be forgotten as soon as you are dead and rotten.
Either write things worth reading or do things worth writing.
Dead and rotten. He had a way with words.
He did. But it's the ultimate test. Are you making something real, or are you just making noise about making something? Real legacy is built in the doing.
It's a lot to process. This isn't just a work harder message. It's a total redesign of how you look at your day.
It really is. So let's just try to synthesize this for everyone listening who feels like they're on their own day 49.
We started with the idea that talent is basically a distraction. It's about guts.
Then we applied Drucker's razor. You have to abandon the half-successes, those comfortable traps, and concentrate on the very few things that actually move you forward.
Then we hit the internal game, using gratitude as a fuel, not just a feeling, and using the we, your team, your competitors, to keep your standards high.
And finally, we landed on silence, doing the work for the work's sake.
It really makes you ask, am I being effective, or am I just being loud?
And I want to go back to that person we started with, the one who's struggling, who feels like it's never going to happen for them.
Back to the best days of your life.
Yeah. It sounds like a cliche, but really feel it. When you're in the struggle, you are free. You're free from expectations, from overhead. You can fail quietly. If you are in that grind right now, don't wish it away.
Pay attention to it.
Exactly. Because you're going to miss the purity of this fight when it's over.
So we want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. And this one's tough.
We want you to imagine something. Strip away the social media. Strip away the promise of a promotion. Strip away the money and the fame. Imagine that absolutely no one will ever know how hard you worked today.
If you were left with nothing but the work itself, the actual doing of the thing, would that be enough for you?
Because if the answer to that is yes, then you're dangerous, you're unstoppable.
And if the answer is no, well, maybe it's time to go back to Drucker's section on abandonment and make a few hard choices.
It might be time to find the work that is enough.
That's it for this deep dive. Go enjoy the grind. We'll see you next time.